Well, back to our markets right now. We have another sell-off this morning. As you can see, Dow Industrials are down 376. S&P, NASDAQ also in the red. Part of this is the 10-year Treasury yield. It is on the rise right now. We're seeing it. There's a gain of 2.1 basis points, more than 1.5% to the upside. And this is coming ahead of that September jobs report, which is due out Friday. That's going to be a market mover. 473,000 jobs expected to be added, while the unemployment rate expected to tick down to 5.1%. Joining me now, Lebenthal Global Advisors President Dominick Tavella. And also joining the conversation all morning long, I've got former Trump Deputy National Security Advisor and author of Revolution, Trump, Washington, and We the People, Katie McFarland is here, and Laffer Tangler Investments Chief Investment Officer Nancy Tangler. Good morning to all of you. It's great to have such strong voices as we have a daunting day ahead, Dominick, and I'm going to start with you on this jobs report coming out on Friday. Obviously, those extended unemployment benefits, they ended last month. Schools are reopening, but there's worries that the extension of the Delta variant really hurt job growth for this particular report. What do you expect?
So this is where the jobs number was going to start to improve. We had expected that once children went back to school, and that was a big factor. Parents could not leave their homes because they were watching their children. We expected once these extra unemployment benefits would stop in a lot of states, and now have stopped completely, that the job numbers would dramatically improve. And yet we haven't really seen that. The last couple of reports that we've gotten, the ADP report today probably is not going to show something dramatically better. So the numbers have plateaued, and it's expected, I think, that this Friday the numbers will be better, but they won't be dramatically better. And I think you touched on it, Cheryl. People are still worried. People are still not returning to the offices. They don't want to. Employers are having a very difficult time convincing them to go back to work in an office environment or other places, factories. So I don't see an exciting number on Friday.
Well, Nancy, to his point, I want to bring you into this because we're looking at nearly 11 million job openings in this country. The fact that you still have, stubbornly high unemployment is a real head scratcher until you realize that all of these extra benefits being handed out by the federal government, it's almost like we're creating some kind of welfare state. And once you give people free money, I'm sorry, Nancy, it's hard to take it back.
Preaching to the choir, Cheryl. Yeah, I split my time between Arizona and Nevada, where there's very different. Arizona cut the benefits off in July, and we pretty much are running at full employment here. In Nevada, the supermarket in the town I live in had to close because there wasn't enough. There weren't enough employees. So I think there is a real crisis. We have 5 million less people working than we did pre-pandemic. And to that point, I wonder what Dominick thinks about not just the employment issue, but inflation. I'm wondering who he thinks are going to be the winners in terms of sectors in the S&P and what it means for the American worker.
So we look at this morning and what these markets are doing, and Cheryl, you touched on it. The 10-year is now over 1.5, and the primary reason is the concerns about inflation. Now, we've seen energy prices literally go through the roof. There's a shortage of coal around the world, natural gas around the world. Prices are exploding. This is inflationary. People that are looking to buy, investors are looking to buy the 10-year Treasury want to be compensated, and if inflation is going to be a problem for an extended period of time, they're not going to accept a very low yield on these bonds, no matter what the Fed does. So concerns out there about inflation and, God forbid, stagflation have markets going down today, higher interest rates tomorrow. I think that trend continues because transitory doesn't mean 3 minutes or 3 days or 3 weeks. It might mean 3 years in this case. So look at materials as obviously look at areas that would benefit from inflation like real estate. There are sectors out there that you can kind of squirrel away some money. But overall, I think in the short term, this is going to be a particularly problem for the markets.
Well, I'm glad you brought up inflation because let's talk about cotton prices hitting a 10-year high. Prices are up about 22% in just the past 2 weeks alone. That is staggering, in particular for the retail industry. You've already got consumer prices climbing. There's new worries that this rally in cotton prices is going to push all of the clothing prices obviously higher across the country as we go into Christmas. Analysts say that droughts, heat waves have wiped out the cotton crop. And then you've also got, I think, a bigger thing here, Dominick. You've got this huge buying of our cotton supplies from China.
You're exactly right, Cheryl. During the Trump administration, they stopped imports from a particular region of China that produces most of their cotton. So Chinese manufacturers cannot buy their local cotton to ship products to the United States. So what they end up doing is buying our cotton, shipping that to China, manufacturing clothes, and then shipping those clothes back. All well and good for our cotton producers, but the cost of that clothing goes higher. We're going to definitely see higher prices down the road as that pipeline fills with clothing from China and delivered to the United States, further adding to the inflation problem. A lot of this inflation issues do roll over. We saw the price of lumber that went sky high and rolled over and came down. Some of them won't go away, and this is a particular one where we may not see dramatically lower cotton prices for a very, very long time.
That is a very, very daunting thing, and we're going to have to leave it there, but I'm very worried about that as well, Dominick. I'm glad you said that. Dominick Tavella, great to see you this morning, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl.